According to the Municipal Planning Commission meeting for May 7th. It is just 1 minute before 5 p.m. So I'll call the meeting to order. We've had an opportunity to review the agenda. Is there any changes in there as far as administration is concerned or additions? How about this?
Chair Casey, I'll move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Thanks, Mr. Wilson. Appreciate that. All those in favor? So moved unanimously. Thank you. And our minutes from the previous meeting of March 19th. Is there any sort of concern?
So I just need February. It says that all the minutes municipal policies from February.
Right, that was on those ones, yeah. Yeah, those, that's 2 meetings ago. Okay.
Oh, I just have to I've heard of it. I've read it.
Which we need to make a motion first. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was looking for just.
You need to make one.
Someone does.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like a motion to approve the last meeting's minutes.
March 19th, thank you. All those in favor? Approved, thank you. And today we have got a single application for development permit before us, an accessory building with some variances at 5040 56 8th Street. Development officer Kurt, take it away.
Thank you, Chair Tracy. All right, so tonight in front of us is an oversized garage at 5040 56 8th Street. So we're looking at a 30 by 40, 1,200 square feet detached garage with a 27% lot coverage variance and a 59% size variance. So it's zoned residential detached district, which is R1, provides an area for residential development in the form of detached dwellings and compatible uses. The property is also located in the dark overlay, central residential district. However, the regulations for dark do not apply to accessory residential buildings. Administration supports the application. Neighborhood consultation. So as part of the bylaw, we're required to send letters to everyone within 60 meters, advising them of the application and asking for feedback. This letter went to 21 landowners and 1 response was received in opposition, which is why the application is in front of the commission tonight. So the summary feedback that we got is all garages in the area are 24 by 24 or smaller. The person was limited to a 24 by 21 due to their house size. He thinks that the garage should stay within the bylaw limits, and the size of the building may be enough. So administration's response is that according to city records, the largest garage in the area is 28 by 36. The applicant is requesting variances to construct a 30 by 40 garage. Any person may apply for a variance if they wish to build outside of what the bylaw allows. And according to city records, the concerned citizen did receive approval back in 2010 from MPC for the 306 variance on their detached garage. And if approved, a condition of the development permit will be that the garage matches or complements the house in materials and colors. So here I have a map that shows the garages in the area. Anything with a yellow writing by it, aside from the subject site that hasn't been approved yet, has been previously approved variances to accessory buildings. So we have a 10% size variance by MPC in 2010 for 384 with 4% and a 4% size and a 54% height variance, which was actually refused by the Municipal Planning Commission, but then appealed to SDAD and approved for a 624 square foot garage with a secondary suite. So that would be considered a garden suite, which is an accessory residential building, and 75% size variance approved by the Municipal Planning Commission in 2018 for a 1,008 square foot garage and a 16% size variance approved last year for a garden suite. Setbacks. So the requirements for accessory residential buildings in the land use bylaw is a setback distance, a minimum of 0.9 meters. The proposal is for 4.57 meters, so that's 15 feet from side railings, and 3.05 meters, so 10 feet from the rear. So the proposal does exceed the bylaw setback. Height. The garage did not exceed the height of the house. The house height is about 6.09 meters. The garage height is proposed to be 5.05 meters. So the proposal does comply with the land use bylaw's height requirements. Lot coverage, accessory residential buildings in the Highlands District can cover up to 15% of the lot. The lot size is 752.63 meters squared. There's an existing garage on site, which you can see in the lower right-hand photo there. That is 29.12 meters squared, and a proposed garage is 111.48 meters squared. So the accessory buildings total on site would cover 19%. The applicant is requesting a 27% size variance to construct the proposed garage. Size. The bylaw requires the garage to be subordinate to the house and should not exceed 70 meters squared. Again, they're proposing 111.48 meters squared, and they're requesting that 59% or 41.48 meters squared variance to the size. Under the land use bylaw, section 3.3, MPC is authorized to consider and decide upon development permit applications requiring the variance of greater than 15%. Section 4.8.7, MPC can grant the variance if you're satisfied that it will comply with the MGA, subdivision and development regulations, safety codes, act, and any plans or outline plans. If approved, the development would comply with these, and they would be required to obtain a building permit, which would ensure compliance with safety codes. Section 473, MPC can approve development if it doesn't comply with the bylaw if you feel that the development will not unduly interfere with the amenities of the neighborhood, materially interfere with or affect the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring parcels, and if the proposal conforms to the use prescribed in the bylaw, an accessory residential building is a permitted use in the R. Administration's recommendations that the Municipal Planning Commission approve the development permit. Thank you, and I welcome any questions.
Appreciate that, Senior Bill Officer. Curious just with their feedback. Obviously, there were a few errors, but also assumptions. Some of the feedback. For the middle of there, so it was limited to 24 by 20 size. Limited in that they did not choose to pursue a variance on the size of what they were going to construct, as would be an option should this individual choose to build a substantially smaller would exist too. Is that not correct?
Yeah, so to the chair, this person actually did receive a minor variance for the size indicated. So they were supposed to go a little bit smaller, but went above the bylaw a little bit, and they were approved for that variance back in 2010. I did have a conversation with him to let him know that anybody can apply for a variance as he did, and the amount would be subject to approval. So,
Thank you.
Is it? Yeah.
How do you know? You know?
The lights.
Oh, there's one.
Never you were go ahead.
So this one I was looking through, I had a bit of a struggle because the variance is definitely a lot larger than it just feels like 59. What is it? The variance is 59%. And I was kind of thinking, I'm like, well, we have all the bylaws in place for whatever reason somebody else had all these like professionals, right? And then I was kind of thinking, I'm like, well, how often do we allow people to exceed all these, like the variance? It's like, where do we stop? That would be my next one. I do understand that this house is an older house, and there's potential that he would most likely have it rebuilt at some time in the future. But the 59% variance, I'm kind of struggling with that, just because he said enjoyment for your neighbor. Well, you just have one neighbor, it's quite a big eyesore, right? So I kind of would approve it just because of the massive size of it. Maybe it was smaller. I would probably have to scale back just because we have the bylaws and for a reason.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess there's some circular, I'm sorry, go ahead, Member Williamson.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, for me, I think, because of these large lots, there's still a nearly triple side yard. Both sides, there's 15 feet or better. To me, that has a substantially more dramatic effect. Enjoyment of the neighboring property than the overall size of the building. That's just my opinion. So I think that needs to be considered as well. Although in the past year, I guess at some point in time, yes, there certainly are limits of improvement for me. When it does start affecting that, either the entry off of the alley, I believe it was 10 or 12 feet in this particular instance. If that was in a position where it was not to allow a vehicle to get in and out without being able to see purely the driveway or the side yard became an issue, then we have the same thoughts. What are the limits in this particular case? I think it's maybe what I would think for my property, but it's not my property. And some people like to have bigger garages. Here's an instance. And I see no reason not to follow our administration's recommendation in this instance. Member Wilson?
Thank you, Chair Creasy. Did you give any indication why he wants a garage this side? Yeah, I also struggle with the additional 1500% variance. I think that's excessive. I'm just wondering why he wants one.
Through the chair to Member Ellison. So the applicant did advise that he just wanted it for typical garage purposes, so storage, parking, and whatnot. They did say that if there is a problem with the overall size, they are still looking at cost, so they may go slightly smaller, but they did want to go for this approval first. So it could end up slightly smaller, but it all depends on FPP tonight. And I will remind you, you do have the authority to oppose any size on applicants if you wish to do so.
So we could tell or decide on a different size. Well, it's not.
You could, so through the chair, Member Ellison, you could make the motion for a certain size. So instead of saying that it's for a 111.48 meters square detached garage, we can add any size in there. I would have to do a quick calculation of variances though, so we need to take a little break, but that is the motion.
Okay, yeah, that's just to me, it just seems like it's why do we have rules if we're going to just, especially when it's this large, I think it's quite a large variance. So yeah, I'm against this size variance for sure. So I certainly will think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate seeing the officer. Kirk, can you just go back to where the other ones that were approved? It was 36 by something. 20 by 36, it's already been approved, right?
75%, yeah.
So I mean, there's precedent right there, 75%.
Even if you open up the picture, like how, like I was gonna say, I could zoom in to see how like. Right. If you open up the 75 variants, I thought that'd be interesting to see. It's already built on that picture, right? Just to show that how unfortunate it is to house. And then I would still go back to, we should just consider maybe having the smaller size, but is there possible we could zoom them to see it?
You know, Officer.
Thank you, Chair Tracy. I will add on that in our reviews, if we do have setback variances, height variance, size variance, we would recommend refusal or overdevelopment of the site. But if you look at the lot compared to, a bunch of other lots in the city, it is a rather large lot with a pretty small house on it. And we do have a 75% size variance approved just in 2018 for one that's 200 square feet less than what they're being asked for tonight. So that is something to consider as well as it does meet setbacks, it does meet height. The reason why it requires this variance is because of the size of the house.
Continue.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Creasy. So I understand where you both are coming from, but where do we get the notion or the decision that says 36 by 28 is better than 30 by 40 or something like it's, if it's going to affect the well-being and whatever of the neighbor, period. How can we say, well, we want to cut that 200 square feet? What is that? What is that going to do? So, you know, if there's already ones there that large, I don't see it as affecting the neighborhood, as an eyesore or whatever. Could it be smaller? Yeah, but if it's a big lot, small house, the only thing they're going to restrict themselves if they ever want to make the house building bigger, they could have a problem. So that's not our problem to consider, it's theirs. So yeah, I just don't know, like, yeah, so do we say what's proper then? Is it 28 by 36? Where do we get to make that opinion of what is the proper size? Does that make sense?
I guess we do need to consider that in the vast majority of the city, we would not have to consider this because simply with a bit on most lots. And then an appreciable amount of setback. And then for me, as I said, that would be a problem. And then they're up against having an extremely large lot, which is a good thing, with an extremely small home, square footage wise, which makes it seem to me worse than what it is. There we go.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. So if they had a larger house, they would be allowed a larger garage, is that correct?
Through the chair, Member Ellison, that is correct.
So the house size is affecting the size of the garage they're allowed. Now, I still have issues with this, but I understand the point that was made about, the house size and that's affecting the size of the garage. So if they put a larger house there, they could have a larger garage because it's a percentage of the house. And the house is very old and there is potential that it could be torn down in the future, I would think, and rebuilt, Okay, so that could affect my decision here because of that. But I do find that some of our rules seem to be a little bit strange, like with the house size dictating the size of the garage. But I guess that was set by council at some point, right? Some of council's decisions are. So, okay, thank you very much for that. Appreciate it.
Was the 75?
Sorry.
Was the 75% variance the same thing with the house as well? Is that what it was due to?
Through the chair to Member Huber, that is correct, yeah. So a lot of the time it's based on lot size and house size. So if you have a big lot with a small house, you're limited on the size of the garage, even though your lot can accommodate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair Creasy. Then I'll move that the Municipal Planning Commission approve the development permit for an accessory residential building 111.48 meters squared detached garage with a 27% maximum lot coverage variance and a 59% 41.48 meters squared size variance proposed to be constructed at 5040 56 8th Street, Lot 4, Block 41, Plan 4048 HW, Zone Residential Detached District R1, with the following conditions. And there are. Three conditions. Really, that's it. Oh, I should have read it. Three conditions. Thank you for that. Thank you.
I think that you did mention in your preamble, fellow officer Kurt, that the garage condition must complement the existing home and color and materials, is that correct?
To the chair, that is correct. And you will note in the package, there are some notes in here as well. So that does include things like floor drain catch connected to a service. Those are notes instead of conditions because it's not a connection and our technician can actually go make sure that they have it. So that's why you only see 3 conditions and then the rest are noted as notes.
Thank you.
And there's another contingent, yeah, to Chair Creasy, just know the fact that this is maximum, and it sounds like maybe the cost of that building might even shrink yet because or the size of the building might shrink because of the cost.
To the chair, team member consent, that is correct. The applicant did advise that once they protected this back, they may go slightly smaller depending on finances.
Anybody have any additional thoughts or concerns? You have a motion before us. Approval. I think I'll read it again for keep like breathful. Okay on that motion as read. All those in favor? Is unanimously passed. Everyone? If the administrative system could be
Oh, it's very consistent. You got
the permits issued to date with that or other than.
Do you want to do it? I'll do it.
I didn't put you on the spot, we would. If you care, proceed with those. Thank you.
Chair Creasy. Okay, talk about a mouthful. Here we go. The first one was a home occupation 2 for a pet grooming salon, 5939 E 45th Avenue. And so this one was approved because nobody opposed to it and nobody appealed the conditional approval. The next one is a semi-detached dwellings with a 36% and 31% front yard setback variances and 5% and 9% rear yard setback variances at 4930 and 4932 Beardsley Avenue. This one was approved because variances over 15% can be approved by the development officer if there's no opposition or appeals, which none were received. The next one is for semi-detached dwellings with a 32% and 27% front yard setback variance at 4922 and 4924 Beardsley Avenue. And again, this one was approved because variances over 15% can be approved by the DO if no opposition or appeals are received. The next one is a detached dwelling with a 25% 1.48 meter corner front yard setback variance at 20 and Carly Crescent. Again, if the variance is over 15%, no opposition or appeals are received. The next one is an accessory use at 1771 52 Street, and the development officer can approve a discretionary use development permit in an established commercial building, subject to appeal. No appeals are received, so that development permit is issued. The next one is an attached rear carport with a 7% side setback variance at 551 150th Ave. Variance under 15% can be approved by the development officer subject to appeal. So if they're under 15%, we're not sending letters asking for support or opposition. We're just sending a letter saying we've made this decision. Here's how to appeal if you feel affected by it. So that's what happened there. The next one is an amendment to a previously issued development permit for warehousing and offices to include manufacturing general. So that's at number 4, 71 252 Street. And again, that one is approved because the development officer can approve a discretionary use in an established commercial building subject to appeal. No appeals are received. And the last one is a 41-meter square addition for an accessory use for offices at 3801 53rd Avenue. And the development officer can approve a discretion case in an established industrial building. There's no appeals received and none were received. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions on any of those? That's the year off during the day, and I believe that we do in fact have an application for our May 21st meeting up for consideration. Is that correct?
To the chair, that is correct. We will have one application.
And those to your on that date, rather, to your calendars. And I believe that concludes our business for today. With the appropriate motion, anyway.
I so move that we adjourn this meeting.
Appreciate that. All those in favor? So moved. Thanks, everyone.